go. Hello and welcome back to the Anything But Family podcast, where I, Aaron Miller, sit down with my older sister, Colleen Edge, and we talk about just about anything but family. Colleen, good day today.
We, when I say we, I mean you and I, played almost 2 hours of pickleball tonight. So I am feeling great. I see we're both freshly showered. It
And
was
getting
it was a hot night.
yeah, yeah, getting re-electrolytized, I suppose is the right word
Absolutely.
for that. Yeah,
Absolutely.
very sweaty game. Good workout. I really enjoy um, getting out and doing all that business. So if you are a person listening to this looking for a fun, low impact, high reward, um, good time sporting thing to get into, pickleball is a good one.
So fun. We are having a blast. We play at least a few times a week.
Yeah, it's a good time.
Real fun.
The social aspect of pickleball is a whole lot of fun. I enjoy it. You enjoy it. Everybody that I've talked to that has played pickleball enjoys playing pickleball. And if you're listening to
I
this,
know. It's just
yeah, give it a go. It's a
so
fun time.
fun. I agree.
Well,
I
we
agree.
have, yeah, it's a good time. We have some I want to say more important but deeper things to talk about today on our show. I sent you some stuff to be kind of thinking about for this. I don't have any problems with kind of surface level stuff, but some of the things that we've got that we wanted to talk about today are the way that we affect the world and the impact that we have on the world. The questions that I sent you to kind of be thinking about for this. What impact do you want to have while you're alive? And when you're not anymore, what kind of a legacy do you hope to leave, if anything? So I will let you kind of take the ball with that and let's start talking about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll be honest, I tried to not overthink this, right? Like I all day was trying to think of things, like as you can see my arm here, like I'm trying to keep my dog out of this, right? So one of the things that, I thought of, I'm like, oh, I want to be remembered as, a dog lover and a mental health lover and like all the things. And I'm like, no, at the end of the I think I want my legacy. I want anytime that my name comes up, I just want people to say, "Oh my gosh, Colleen, she was such a nice person." Like I really think that that kind of sums it up. Like, there are so many things. Like I'm a critter lover. Like I find small joys to be really exciting. I'm a height person. Like there are so many different things that kind of like go into my brain and, you know, the way that I live my life. Like I want every single person who I interact with, like I want to be that cheerleader. Like if I see somebody and I'm like, oh my gosh, her earrings are so cute. Like I want to tell them. Or if a guy's wearing, fun tennis shoes that I would love, I'm like, I want to tell him because to me, it's like, I like it as small as it is. I have purple hair and I get compliments on my hair all the time. And it really does like such a little mood boost. And it's like, I don't look at it as being disingenuous because, I feel like it can kind of sometimes come off as trite. Like if, let's say you and I are spending the day together and we're out shopping or something, and, I say it to a bunch of people, like different things, like, oh, I love your earrings, or oh, your dress is so cute. I feel like it can kind of come off as like to the person, especially you're with, like, oh my gosh, they say that to everybody or whatever. But really and truly, it is just It's so easy to forget that like all of us are dealing with stuff. And, even if I'm having a bad day, it's like somebody comments on my hair and I'm like, "Ah, thank you." Like I know what it feels like to just kind of be seen. You have, and I think we've said this before, you have this really true and great quote.
I feel like I know what quote you're gonna hit me with here.
Yeah, we're all the main character in our story. And,
Yeah,
it's like you're walking around with your, author writing your book and you're the star. And, your wife, same thing, even like, I'm sure like our animals, right? They're like, I'm the most important here. But we all are that main character. And it's like for a second, to me, when you can like look at the negative interaction, sure. But for me, it's like I like to personify and give life to like every thought that I have, right? So to me, it's
sure.
like, oh my gosh, for that one little second, you are now in somebody else's story. Your paths are probably never going to like cross again. But for that one moment, and you just never know what's going to stick with somebody. And that is kind of how I try to live life is like I want every interaction, doesn't mean that every interaction is going to be good, right? But I want every interaction to like leave with the other person feeling like heard, respected, just treated like a person,
Sure,
because
sure.
that goes a far way. So I think that's what I want my legacy to be. I want my legacy to be that, she was a nice person and then tell all the wonderful, nice stories. But I
Sure.
really I want, you know, I want my nieces and nephews and family members and, I want everyone it when I am the great aunt, because I feel like you probably won't remember. Nobody's going to remember past that. Great is kind of a stretch, but
Stretch.
when I'm a great aunt, I want them to be like, oh my gosh, she is so nice. Like that's what I want. I want people to think and to know that like it might not always be a good interaction, but it was an honest interaction. It was an accountable interaction. It was a genuine interaction. So,
Sure.
how about
Absolutely.
you?
All right. So I won't wax too poetic about this. I might. First off, good answers. No wrong answers. I
Well,
like
thank
those.
you. I figured
One
we would tell about, like, I figured we would talk about both of ours and then we could, like, kind of ask each other questions.
sure. So one of the I suppose oldest like foundational thoughts that I have is that we are all in this thing together. We talked about red green in one of our, yeah, right. We talked about the red green show in one of our earlier episodes. And that's another quote from there. We're all in this thing together. Um, Keep your stick on the ice. I'm pulling for you. I don't know the exact quote. Um, but yeah, like that has always been an important thing for me to realize. Like we're all connected one way or the other. Everything that we do is going to have an impact. Um,
Is that the butterfly
Even
effect? Is that what that's called?
maybe that might be a rose by any other name would smell as sweet situation. It might. I feel like I've heard it referred to as that. For me, it's
Is
just
it
the
is it butterfly effect? Is it string theory? I don't know. Write this down so that we can come back to this and update on our next show.
I tell you what, I'm just going to look up the butterfly effect right now, and
Thank you.
it
My
sounds
phone's
right.
dead.
What's that?
My phone's dead, and I was like totally panicking about it. I'm like, we're gonna come up with something to talk about, and I'm gonna want to Google something. So,
I got you.
Aaron for the win.
The butterfly effect describes how a small initial change in a complex system can lead to large, unpredictable differences in a later state. I think these two things are more than tangentially connected. But I don't know that it's exactly the same thing that I'm talking about here.
I'll
Um,
deep dive later. Keep going.
sure. But everything that we do in life, in our relationships, in uh, whatever it is that we're doing, it's going to have some kind of an impact. And it sounds goofy or hokey, maybe, but um, it's up to us to do the best that we can. And that sounds like such a simplistic take on things. But yeah, everything that we do is going to have an impact. So might as well be a good impact that you're going to be having. Even like, I don't know, our podcast that we're doing to kind of break that fourth wall or whatever. Like, this is going to have some kind of an impact on
Oh yeah.
maybe a person. I don't know. But then what kind of impact might those people have? Um, So, just kind of as the foundation for this discussion, that is where a lot of this comes from. We are all in this thing together. And what sort of impact do you want to have? And I want my impact to be a positive one. I think everybody, if they think about this, would say, well, sure, of course, I want to have a positive impact on the world. So that's the stuff that's underlying this. My career that I got into, I think it uh, leads, maybe leads isn't the right word for that, but gives me the power, I suppose, to have positive impacts on a lot of people.
The
Um,
platform.
yeah, a platform, sure. And maybe that's where the butterfly effect can come into this. Um, there's a time in all of our lives where we meet people, where people come into our lives. And I, you know, I'm a big fan of public education. I'm a big fan of specifically the ag education that I get a chance to do. Um, Teach about agriculture and animals and mechanics things and business and just a lot of cool stuff. I can remember when I was doing my student teaching, there was one kid and he'd come in every day and say, "Mr. Miller, are we going to learn about cool stuff today?" So, well, yeah, that's the idea. I really like that. I like that I get a chance to teach kids cool stuff that could possibly lead to careers for them down the line at the most like shallow level of that. If that's the only thing that a kid gets out of any of my classes is that they've got an interest in other stuff than they might have otherwise, that's a win in my book. Um,
Absolutely.
so that's the shallow part of this. Kind of going deeper into that, you look at think about the people that have had a impact in your life. Think
I
about the
was going to
people
say
that
the
have.
same thing.
Yeah. Think about those people for a second, you and anybody that's listening. For me, the I would say the adult outside of my family, hence the podcast, um, the adults that had the biggest impact on my life in those formative years were my teachers, specifically my ag teachers. Just exposed me to a whole new world of things. And like that's why I've got this career that I'm doing. That's where a lot of the interests in my life really developed. And I suppose specifically the just fire for learning things. You and I've talked about that. Like, we're both lifelong learners. We should all be lifelong learners. I would say that is my challenge to anybody. Try to learn something new every day. Try to
I
learn
heard
more
that
than one.
called, I heard that called, I know our sound's a little like missing. So it's a little late on the take for you. But I heard that called, you know how people kind of in a negative way, it's like, oh, they're a know-it-all. I've heard that rephrased as you don't want to be a know-it-all, you want to be a learn-it-all. So you want to
I
be
like that.
somebody who it doesn't really matter. Like, sure, you can learn it and dump. How many things do we hear that it just dumps as soon as it goes into our brain, right? But
Sure.
just for a second, having like the knowledge, I might not remember everything I look up on Google, but I love just learning things.
Yeah,
So
but you've
sorry,
got it now.
you what?
You've got that now. I think
Yes.
that's one of the cool things about modern technology. We have the collective knowledge of mankind that you can hold in your hand. And how cool is that? Yeah, right? Like a paradigm shift of the world right there. And I think that's a
Yeah.
fascinating thing for sure.
Well, I
Um,
didn't mean to cut you off of your people. I want to hear more about your people who were so influential in your life. I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm so
no, you're fine. Like I say, my teachers in general and my two ag teachers in particular, um, I don't know, rock stars in my life, uh, gave me as a weird 15-year-old kid, um,
that's true.
yeah, um, gave me stuff to get excited about. Like you can see back behind me, like all this deer hunting stuff. I got to compete with like wildlife management and natural resources, and contests with that. And that was really cool. That was something that I got excited about. And I think that all, looking back at it, that was all well and good. I think that was a vehicle to teach how to be good adult people. Um, and I think that's maybe just kind of a peek behind the curtain, if you want to call it that, and the business behind the business. But yeah, like taught me all sorts of cool stuff. Taught me how to act, how to communicate with people, and we're doing that all the time, and I just think that's really cool. So, um, yeah, yeah, they big impact on my life, and I appreciate those guys, and I try to tell them that every chance I get, and you should too,
Yeah.
listeners.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I think what you said, like outside of family, right? Like, of course, your family has,
Sure,
so much sway, whether it's to be or not to be, the
that is the question.
similarities, right? But I absolutely subscribe to the doctrine. I don't even know. Like the thought of if somebody is in your life like that, and you said it, like you try to tell them that as often as possible. Like, I think I don't know what it is. I don't know if we are embarrassed or if it's just weird, like it feels weird. It feels really weird to like gush over someone to them, right? Where,
Sure,
it's one thing to like say things to other people, but to like actually have somebody in front of you who you're just like, I really want to tell you you've made such an impact, blah blah blah. That feels weird, but it's almost like one of those funeral things, right? It's like don't save the things that you want to say until their funeral. So for me, my person is he was my boss in college. I was an RA for the second year that I was up at ATI. And you know, we had just grown up, and I don't think that this is abnormal, right? Like there's small town America everywhere.
yeah,
And it's just I feel like looking back, I was like the quintessential like small town person, right? So, and I have no problem. I mean, we live back here now. I have no problem with, you know, moving back or, staying or whatever, but I had just never experienced people who were different than
sure.
me.
Our town of we didn't even live in town, in town. Amanda is the like that's the
One
local
stoplight
town.
town,
Yeah, literally one stoplight, and I think now it flashes.
right?
Less than 1,000 people. I think it was like 750 people lived there when we were in school. Um, I just remember
Yeah,
those statistics. So just a little
tiny.
bit of yeah, little background for anybody wondering about where we come from.
Yeah,
Sorry. I'll
absolutely. No, you're good.
yeah,
It was just it really is like textbook small town, right? Like there wasn't a lot of diversity. And that's not a bad thing. Like, yes, I do think it's a bad thing. We need more diversity, but I'm not saying like the town, like you can't help where you come from. So it's not a bad thing by any means, but it's just it lends itself to such a small like section of the world, right? So, after you get a little bit older, you start like branching out, going to college. Even, my college was 3 hours, 2.5 hours from me, but it was still small town USA, right?
sure.
Like everybody who went to this school for the most part was we were a feeder into this school of small town USA. So we all were from small town USA, right?
Sure.
So it was not different. Like the world was not different. My world
It
was
was
not
big
different.
big
Well,
Amanda.
yeah, it was a big Amanda, absolutely. So my second year, like I had not had a first good year away at college. I always say it was a life experience college and not a grades college. I did graduate, but it was really attributed to this person. The second year that I was there, we got a new director of housing, and he was I don't even know how old he was. He's probably, I don't know, 10, 12 years older than me. I don't know. Younger guy, newly married. He comes on, he's fine. I didn't know him, of course. But he's lovely. Very personable, whatever. Well, so then from the minute he started like teaching us, right? Like we didn't know how to be RAs. Like, yes, there are rules, but like actually the job. Um, it was just so apparent that he had seen more of the world, right? Where it was like he was interesting to listen to. He was a good person. Like you could just tell he was a good person. And at that point in my life, my beliefs would not have been what I thought I believed would not have necessarily been in alignment with this man, with his beliefs, right? So I remember we had to go to a training to be an RA. We had to go. So we were a campus of Ohio State, and we had to go to main campus to do this training. And I remember the concern in our dear mom's voice. Like it was just so foreign, right? Like it was just a foreign concept. We had to go to this diversity training, and I'm in this room with people who, really don't look like me. But not only that, they believed differently than I thought I believed. They believed differently than what I knew.
Horrors.
What?
The horrors.
Correct. Right. But and not to say that it was wrong, it was just different and I hadn't seen and I hadn't felt, I'm a feeler. Like I am someone who I feel for people. And we had to hang up this sign on our door that was like, I'm an ally. And I got to tell you, I was nervous. I was so nervous because it was so different than what I, had known. But at the end of the day, it was like people are people. And this man, he really like stood by and like fostered these like deeper thoughts and world broadening views just by being himself, right? And when I look back, like he is the absolute one person who and I never hesitate to tell him like twice a year I post on Facebook and like shout him out, right? Because he changed my life. Like I can look at different points, and I think this would actually be a great topic to talk about sometime, like the points in our life that you're like, this was a point that changed the outcome of my
Sure,
life.
sure.
Like he was a point on my timeline that changed the trajectory of my life.
Absolutely.
And, my life doesn't necessarily look like I thought it would, but just the, I don't even want to say like the approval or the permission, but just seeing what a kind person he was and seeing how important it was to him that, he took this small town America and he at least like inched his way in with the influence, right? And I'm just like, man, the world is such a better place because of this man in it.
Sure,
So
sure.
yeah, so his name's Shane, by the way. So I'll probably tag him on this.
I,
But
yeah,
yeah, I never have enough and I think about him all the time, which sounds creepy. I don't mean it creepily. I just mean like at different points in my life where I can I really try to be reflective and be like, man, if my life had gone in a different direction, I probably would have felt differently about this.
sure, sure.
So,
Yeah, I always think that it's interesting, like looking back, because when you're in that moment, you probably weren't thinking, oh,
this
20
is going to be the
years from
biggest influence of my life.
sure, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, that impact or that influence might look like, well, this is just a friendly person. This is someone that I can get on with. All right. Um, yeah, that's, that's an interesting thing. I always think it's fun, also to think about how, you talked about those points of divergence in your timelines. I always like to think about those also. Maybe that'd be a fun topic to tackle one of these
Yeah.
days,
I
too.
think what's the song? Is it a Garth Brooks song? And it obviously relates to like relationships, like thank God for the one who got away or whatever. Not even so much that, like relationship.
Is it unanswered
Was it
prayers
unearned? Yes.
or something like
Yes.
that?
Something like that. Yes. And wherever you land on the higher power spectrum, by all means, like whether you universe or whatever, it's just like we so often have, what we think in our mind is going to be like our path. And then
Sure,
that point where it's just like, whoa, that did not, that did not go the way that I anticipated.
sure, sure. No, I can think of a few of those that would be,
Hmm.
yeah, that'd be a fun thing to talk about one of
Write
these
it down.
days. No, yeah, I've got you.
You got it
I've
on your
got you.
phone.
Yeah, yeah, I'll remember that. But yeah, it's good to, I don't know, be mindful of your impact because whether you know it or not, you are going to have an impact and you are going to have a legacy. I forget who it was, but somebody said that which we do in life echoes in eternity. And I
Ooh,
love that. Yeah. Somebody smarter than me said that.
there are so few.
Yeah. Lots of people smarter than me, but thank you. So yeah, that is our impact stuff. Like
Yeah.
while we're here, um, you talked also about like how you want to be remembered. I I don't know. I guess I want to just be remembered as a person that had that impact on people. I
Yeah.
suppose those two things are pretty strongly related there. Um, yeah,
Well,
yeah,
and you said something just a minute ago about um I can't remember, it wasn't legacy, but it was essentially um like when you get to the end of your life, right? Like one of the things, so just for anyone who's listening, I know it's going to be a little bit about family, but hear me out. Aaron and I lost our dad almost 4 years ago. And it has been it has been rough. Like we are finally kind of like getting some closure, right? And I told myself that when like things wrapped up, I'm like, I have got to start living my life. Like, I have got to get out of survival mode. I've got to get into living mode. I'm like, telling myself, like, I've got to get healthy. I've got to start taking care of myself because I just felt like I had like lost myself, right? Like
Sure.
everything, like there was such turmoil, and let's not even forget like 2020, right? So it's like everybody, I get it. Everybody has just had a really hard last 5 years, right?
Sure.
So I was just like, I have got to start, I've got to stop existing and start living, right? And that kind of got me, into the thought process of like, what do I want when I am at the end of my life? Hopefully, that is, many years from now. But when I
Sure.
am at the end of my life, and, hopefully I'm given a chance to have that reflection before I pass. Um, but when I'm at the end of my life, what do I want to say? Do I want to say, like, man, I wish I had argued more points? I wish I had been more political. I wish, what things am I going to wish like, oh, I wish I had played more Candy Crush? Probably not.
I wish I'd have been a meaner person.
Right. I wish I had been meaner, or I wish I had held that grudge longer, or you know anything. And I don't believe that. I don't believe that you would ever, and I seriously mean ever. I don't know, think of like the absolute worst person in the world. I mean, maybe, but I'm like, if people were genuine with themselves, right? And I don't know that we could ever collect this data because then they're dead. Right. So, my official, unofficial study just says nobody gets to the end of their life and is like, man, I wish I had been more fill in the negative blank.
Sure. Sure.
But I do firmly believe that, you know, there will come a day all are at our very last moments. And I'm like, I want to be able to look back and know, because let me tell you, I got a register in my head of all the stuff that I've done wrong or times I've wronged people. Like, I keep track of all of those things because
My name is Earl.
is that what I've never seen it? Is that what he does?
That's the premise. And then he goes back and tries to fix all of it.
Yeah, that absolutely. Like if I wrong someone, like I absolutely like I can never forget it. Like it's just in my Rolodex, right? So when I get to the end of my life, I want to be able to be like, man, I I did it. Like I talked to all the people I wanted to. I had relationships with people I wanted to. You know, I went out of my way to, help people open the door. Like I returned my grocery cart every time. It's like I want to have that like positive Rolodex in my mind of
Sure.
like the wins. And I categorize wins as minute as I didn't step on that spider. How lucky is that? Like that
Sure.
spider just, like those are wins to me. Like those to me show like kindness and compassion. And I get really proud of myself when I'm like, "Ah, that I handled that really well. Like I feel like that I handled that very kindly or whatever, it's like those wins. Those are the things that I want. I can't imagine that anyone gets to the end of their life and it's like, man, I wish I had been crueler, you
Right.
know?
I wish I'd have stepped on more bugs.
Right. Right. I wish I'd have lighted that ant hill on fire. It's like,
There's another quote that I really like, kind of playing on that kind of heavy with this, but teaching a kid not to step on spiders is as important to the kid as it is to the spider. And I love that.
I love it. I love it. One of the things we are raising two stepchildren, and they came into our lives when they were a little bit older, and that afforded us the opportunity to like they're at a fun age, right? They're like they are eager to learn. Like they will I am a forever like every single situation is a learning opportunity. Like that is how my brain works. Like even as minute as like learning how a grocery cart like tire rolls, like silly things like that. I'm like, oh, I learned something new. That's so interesting. They're on summer break. They don't want to be learning stuff.
Oh, you should always want to learn. It's easy to
I
say
know,
that
but they're 9 and 11, so I get it.
sure.
Like, when it's presented as a lesson, no. So, but it's like I hope I if there's one thing that I can just like play this through with their futures, right? Like I want them to always remember, like see a groundhog and be like, oh, I think of her, or maybe it'll keep them from, or it'll let them let a bumblebee out, like little things like
Sure.
that.
Sure. I'm with you. Yeah, it's I don't know. It's good to learn things, and it's good to be kind, and I don't know. There's plenty of meanness in the world. Um, I think that we all have the decision to make. We can all make that choice. Are we going to add meanness to the world, or are we going to add kindness to the world? And I would encourage everybody, if you're listening to this or watching this, add some more kindness to the world, because there's always going to be plenty of mean, but not plenty of kindness. Colleen, we have about 3 minutes left on the timer here. Any last, I won't say last minute, but any last 3 minute thoughts to tack onto this?
Isn't it so funny? I don't know about you, but when we get to the end of these, I'm like, oh, my mind is racing. I'm like, I want to talk about this and this and this. And I feel like you and I talk so well with each other that we could talk for like hours and stuff. And we
Yeah.
have.
Yeah,
We
absolutely.
absolutely have.
Well, the good thing is we can always make more of these.
That's true. I know. I like look so forward to these.
Me
No,
too.
I want to echo what you said, just I think for me it's like just go out of your way and do something nice for one person every day. It doesn't matter what it is, even if it's like holding the door for somebody or even saying thank you when somebody opens the door for you. Just
Sure.
getting out and communicating with people. Like you're never going to, you know, just making those connections. I just think the kindness of making connections, because at the end of the day, we are all in this together and we're all just people.
Yeah, be an active, positive influence on the world.
I
I
love
can
it.
uh I can get down with that.
Yeah,
Well,
same.
yeah. Everybody, if you are listening to this and you enjoy these episodes, go ahead and subscribe and like this. And if you want to share this with anybody, feel free to do that. That's I don't know, kind of out here just spreading the gospel of
Right.
positivity in the world today. Um, so yeah, Colleen, we are just about out of time here. I'm showing a minute left, so I think this is a as good a time as any to part ways here with you.
All right. Love you.
Have a good night. Love you too, Colleen. We'll see you.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.